All of that is because of this attitude that if you leave businesses alone, that somehow this magic force in the free market will force businesses to do the right thing. That's just not true, because ultimately the responsibility of a business is to react to their shareholders, and their shareholders are looking for pure profit. There's nothing wrong with that per se, but you can't make that the core of your society's value system.
Yeah, you got basically reconfiguring our culture so that we don't put profit before people. Again, this idea of trying to reiterate this idea of democracy, right? I mean, this is something that when we look at our history books, as we go through the education process and embrace citizenship in this country, we really praise this idea of a democracy, that whoever you are, whatever your color, whatever your religion, however much money you bring home at the end of the day, you are a person that rightfully deserves a voice. And so in our current system, as Domenic mentioned, with the Citizens United case, or the fact that corporations are legally considered people, a lot of these things are common sense to the average American who just says something about that's not right. Something about the fact that corporations are legally considered to be the same as a flesh and blood person who suffers, that's not right. Something about the fact that money is considered speech, that's not right. We should all be born, again, with the same notion of equality, that whoever you are, you have a voice that deserves to be heard, and that your government should be working in your interests. It should not be working in the interest of corporations. It should not be working in the interest of those who back those politicians' campaigns. So at the end of the day, this is the fundamental thing we're fighting for, and this is why we're outside of this kind of Republican-Democrat dichotomy. We really want whoever you may be, and whatever view you may have, we want your views to be heard, and we want a true democracy established.
I would personally like to see a reduction in voter apathy. I think a lot of people feel like their voice is just not being heard. Laws are being passed without people having even a chance to vote on them. And I think that more people, hopefully what we can get out of the Occupy movement is that more people will want to inform themselves on what's going on in their local government. It's always been my opinion that we should start at the bottom. If you're going to exact change, you should start at the bottom and work your way up. And I think people need to get a lot more involved in their local government and electing their local officials. And that's what I would like to see.
And if I could just add to that for a moment, in addition to increasing the participation in the actual elections, it is also our contention, I think in general, that we would like to see the population more involved in the day-to-day operation of politics, going to their city council meetings, speaking up for issues that they're personally concerned about, turning off the television at night and actually talking to their neighbors about what's going on in their state, their county, their country, so that people are participating on a day-to-day basis, not necessarily just once every 4 years during a presidential election. It's raising the awareness level and raising the activity level of the public at large. That's one of our main goals.
That's some good points that y'all brought about, and what would you consider to be some of the achievements of the Occupy movement as of today?
Well, there are some larger achievements, such as the Bank of America's reduction of their $5 debit card fees. It was through direct protests, customer complaints, petitions that basically made the banks back down on those extra charges that they were going to charge you for those debit card fees. As well as Duke Energy, their rate hike recently. They were going to raise their rates, I believe it was 17.4%, and through active protest and customer dissatisfaction, they decided to lower that rate hike to 7.2%, I believe. And that is directly from people taking a stand against it. I believe a little more locally, Occupy Charlotte was involved with the Stonewall Jackson apartments.
Stonewall Jackson apartments, yeah.
there was a landlord that was going to be evicting some people in some apartments, and once Occupy Charlotte got involved, that landlord backed down and did not evict. So I like to claim that as a small victory.
Yeah.
And the great thing about that case is that was a perfect example of us standing up for the common man, if you will, common man and woman, if you will. A lot of the people at those apartments were Latino immigrants, who, and many of them came recently or maybe struggled with the English language and had trouble, I guess, fighting for their rights. And there's a great local group that operates on the state level called Action NC that brought the issue to our attention, and some shady things going on with how the landlord was treating those tenants. And the fact that we even said that, you know what, we're going there to help protest, changed their entire stance. Mm-hmm. And so as Gena said earlier with the Duke Energy, the rate reduction, or I should say it's still a rate increase, but reducing it from 17.4% to 7.2%, that will save the average family in Charlotte hundreds of dollars a year. The fact that the bank fees, the checking fees, were eliminated across the board at a lot of these banks, that's going to save a lot of people money. So there's a lot of things Occupy is doing by, again, changing the conversation, bringing attention to issues that are not getting the attention, and then moving forward from there. So these are major achievements that we're really proud of.
And more achievement that I consider in our political discourse is before the Occupy Wall Street movement was even around, the discussion nationally was about debt reduction and these neo-austerity measures that were being passed due to the economic collapse as a prescription of economic collapse. And now what you have is a discussion of income inequality, economic justice creeping into our political discourse, and I think it's no small coincidence that those changes in the political discussion coincide with the rise and the spread of the Occupy Wall Street movement, both nationally and worldwide.
And if I could add one more thing about that, what's great is a lot of these things might seem small at first, but the fact that everybody's participating in them. Since November, the 90-day period after November, we had 5.6 million Americans transfer their money from for-profit banking institutions to local banks, in many cases, not-for-profit banking institutions. And so we're really, the fact that we're moving our money, the fact that we're waking up is absolutely unbelievable. And let's not forget, we've only been around for essentially about 4 months. So if we can say that we've accomplished that in 4 months, who's telling what the future holds?
Okay, it looks like we're running short on time. I know time just went by kind of fast.
Oh, wow.
So considering the new anti-camping ordinance passed by Charlotte City Council, how do you plan to continue building strength in your movement?
I would like to go ahead and say that Occupy Charlotte is not about tents. The entire Occupy movement is not about tents. The tents are a symbol of our commitment to stick this out until we actually see some change. So whether the tents are there or not, we're going to continue doing what we're doing.
The tent served a great purpose as far as a new form of protest. A lot of people have said, you guys are just camping out there, and we say, we're not doing that for recreational purposes. We're not just sitting out, we don't want to go to the mountains and we just decided to plop on this lawn. No, we're doing it for a distinct purpose and saying that, we're here, we're awake, and we're going to reclaim this back for the people. We're going to occupy this for the people. And so we have to think about other protest movements. I mean, North Carolina, Greensboro, we are really proud of the fact that here in this state, the sit-in movement, right? Something that other people, at first when people got involved in sit-ins, people said that's not a form of protest. Right? And people said, well, there hasn't been sit-ins before this moment. And they started a whole new form of protest, a form of protest that we embrace so much to this day. And so we're saying that occupying land is addressing concerns of the people, and essentially, again, the symbolic nature of saying that we are here to reclaim space for the public.
Okay, we're going to have to wind it up, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I want to invite you back so we can discuss this more in detail.
Oh, anytime.
Audience, this is members from Occupy Charlotte. Go to YouTube. Watch the show, Paul Brown Show, with guests, members of the Occupy Charlotte. Come on every Thursday, 5:30. Be encouraged. Thank you. I just want to thank, God for making all this possible. Everybody on, just be encouraged. Thank you.
This is just the start of Occupy North Carolina. There was Occupy Greensboro last night. There's Occupy Durham Sunday. There's Occupy Raleigh Sunday. So we want to bring all the occupations together and bridge them into making Occupy North Carolina. So we'll stand in solidarity across the state and perhaps be in the financial capital and in the legislative capital. This is just the beginning of Occupy North Carolina.
If people can't commit to this, there might not be any other chances.
This is the chance. This is the opportunity that we have here. And I thank y'all for just coming up and showing yourselves present to be involved with being